All right, this is the Conspiracy Broadcasting Network. This is vlog 114 series. We're on Bravo B vlog. This is a culmination series, a collateral series that is spanning over the last 2 weeks. Imagine if you've ever had a time in your life where you had to go under this persistent subversion and had all of these persistent events going on. I don't know anyone who has. So, long story short, we're going to get into August 20th. On the Alpha series, I talked to you about how there was subversion by multiple organizations, from police all the way to the perpetrator who was trying to purport to be me and use identity fraud, all the way to the entire event. And this is how the COINTELPRO happens. It happens with establishing an event. Okay, that's how this works. And throughout the whole day on the 19th, I was inundated with nothing but phone calls and emails, okay, trying to undermine this series here on August 20th, which is my hearing for the disorderly conduct and resisting arrest, okay, on February 19th. All right. So, again, using anarchy in order to criminalize you, whatever it takes. It's a society, it's a campaign, it's an organism of desperados and terrorists, literally by the definition of each. So on August 20th was a different day compared to when I went to the hearing last time, and you can view that on my previous vlogs. I don't think I left a link, but this particular day, I noticed that there wasn't a lot of white SUVs. The whole vehicular movement and pattern deal wasn't as substantially draining or substantially concentrated, is what I would call it. It wasn't to the magnitude that it was preceding in the earlier portion of the year. And when I arrived there, I knew I had to go to the same place I went last time. And when I went in, this time there was a lady there, and the lady, I guess, was the prosecutor, I'm assuming, but she kind of ran this preliminary communication and process with paperwork prior to entering that courtroom. She gave me instruction to go sit on the left side. I went to go sit on the left side, and I didn't notice the colors in the ambient abuse that much. It was more so of the proxemics, right? That's something that is one of their primary weapons with the technology that they use to literally track you in your geospatial location on this grid-like technology that I was informed is existing, and they're using GPS. And then I was told that what he said was never true. And basically, it's like a Stormy Daniels to Trump. He said, she said, and I have no way to prove it unless it was like Martin Luther King's letter that was pushed to him by the FBI, where I could just pull the letter out with the narrative with everything that they had to say to me. And unfortunately, I don't have that. It's just during the hypnotizing process, he told me all of these things. And then, long story short, everybody in the handlers, which seems to be in my entire social circle, is running this game in this campaign of subversion and sabotage of my life. So when I go to sit on the left side, I'm sitting, I believe I learned I have to sit on like the second row or farther back. I guess the first row is for lawyers. This is 4 months. I tried to talk to a lawyer online, and they want to give me semantics and use this joking connection, and that's all common denominator, where the one attorney that I used was actually an attorney online who didn't really want to retain didn't want me to retain his services per se, just give me some legal advice, some just superficial legal advice. And that was mainly how to handle some of the processing of this whole thing. And his name was Gurney. That's his name, Gurney. Okay, so again, the names and the connections are all about things that I had an indifference to. I had disdain to, I had some type of scenario in my life that I was reporting. And it's always about deflecting, dismissing, and minimalizing, right? Right, minimizing my concerns. And so he's going to have a attorney named Gurney when I had a problem with an ambulance service multiple times with the gurney, come and talk to me. So his name is Gurney. Just like when I went to go get a lawyer over in Indiana at one point, and the officers' names were the names of that I had problems with in the department, as well as the organization surrounding that area. The name of the attorneys was the name of the police department or the police department members that I had issues with. And so they'll connect the names together. And so when you're talking to them, you're connected to a stimulus of indifference, and you're connected to almost like a stimulus of dislike. Okay, same thing. So when I'm sitting there, I was not there long. I was just kind of watching things, and there wasn't as many people, but the ambiance was completely different. What they did is they changed the ambiance to a light-natured ambiance, and they brought in more women, and they brought in a lighter atmosphere by giggling and laughing and smiling more, having all these people in the area giggle and smile and just be like it's just like a little powwow. Everyone's having like a nice little picnic. Everything's fine. It's exactly opposite of the first hearing. Literally exact opposite. And the officer, he's all nice up there. There's a couple officers. One of them I recognize, and he's just doing his own little process and procedure. And he's having this cordial little, smile and demeanor. But the first hearing was the exact opposite of that. It was hard. It was tough. It was, you can't do that. What are you doing? Raise your hand. Come up. Like that, right? Your name was called. Go to the back. There's someone to talk to you, right? But this time it's the exact opposite, right? The exact opposite. Judge is walking in, and he's all kind of looking around, just doing whatever he wants to do, kind of just relaxing. But the first time the judge came in on the first hearing, it was pushing papers. So it's an organism that you're dealing with, okay? So I'm sitting there, and about, 5 minutes goes by. And all of a sudden, this girl comes up, and she is literally like coming from behind me. And I'm sitting there, and this girl comes up, and she literally is like right here in the first row, stands kind of there. And actually, I think she even sat to my right. I think she did. I think she sat to my right because I remember she was kind of close. So she sat to my right. And then this officer, who was the officer antagonizing me before regarding emergency medicine and the whole name deal, comes up, and he makes sure that he's directly in front of me. She kind of leans over like this, and she's directly in front of me at this point. And he goes, oh, your case is dismissed. Your case is dismissed. Now, on the 20th, I was writing a dismissal letter and a drop letter from 11 in the morning, leading up to the court hearing. Okay. And when I got there, I literally finished up, printed it, made multiple copies, did some editing on grammar and punctuality, got there on time. I think I even printed some stuff like literally an hour and a half before. Knew traffic was bad. Get there, and I'm ready to speak to whatever I got to do, right? I'm ready to either ask for a lawyer, yada, yada, go and talk to whatever I got to do. So this lady comes up, this little girl, does this little enactment. And the thing about this whole process here is that this enactment and this whole indirect conversation is this intelligence thing, is this counterintelligence deal and this harassment deal by always orchestrating the conversation directly in front of you. If it's not directly in front of you, the conversation is always orchestrated in your proxemics. Proxemics is the principle of closeness. It's a real deal. It's not like someone saying, get out of my bubble. It's more than that. It's a psychological tactic that has been studied for decades. It's actually a ring around you, and there's levels to all of those spaces and distances between you and the other person, and they have an impact on your psychological state. This is why investigators, when they want to press you or they're trying to investigate through some type of questioning scenario, they're going to lean into your personal space, sometimes intimate space, depending on how they feel, what they want to do. And that whole leaning thing is what's giving them the advantage psychologically. This is the backbone of what they've been doing to me for decades, but they're doing it really hard in the last 11 years. Really hard, like in more frequency, right? To always press you, okay? And to always send the message, make sure that you get the message, that the message is drilled and sent to you, okay? And this is way outside of a normal atmosphere, a normal ambiance is what I would say, right? This is a ill social milieu, okay? So they're purposefully going in front of you, making sure it's a female, and that's the narrative. They're running this narrative that you are against a female, okay? It's always that narrative. It's always a narrative that you're against women, you're competing against women, and it's always them putting this female entity over you or this female aura that's taking advantage of you at all times. It's always this mentality, okay? We'll get into more to that later, but I've talked about that numerous times in previous vlogs. So the officer says, "I'll be right back," after saying, "Oh, you're dismissed." And he leans in, and literally they're only like literally 3 feet to 4 feet away from me. And again, when they have this type of harassment going on, they are surveying and knowing what you're doing in your private quarters, right? And privacy is implied, right? Through the amendments, I think 3, 7, 9, and 14, right? Says the Supreme Court. So the thing about it is there's intrusion and surveillance going on in your private quarters at all times. And they decide that they're going to then have this lady come up and say, "Oh, your court case is dismissed." Like that. Within literally 5 minutes of me sitting down in the second row. And they make sure that they're within your personal space in this case, because she's sitting in your personal space. She's sitting to your right. She's sitting next to you. She's in your intimate and personal space. So she's sending the message. She wants you to be associated or affiliated psychologically, share the connection. We have these vibrations, right? Our own magnetic fields, things like that. That's why you feel a certain way whenever you are coming together, right? When you are close to someone, you feel different. This is why you feel standoffish, right? This is called proxemics. It's a real deal. This is why investigators use it during interrogation. So this is what they did. And then I'm sitting there, and again, the entire atmosphere is smiles and like giggling and just this nice like butterfly and roses atmosphere, completely contralateral to the first hearing. This lady who looks like a prosecutor comes over out of the courtroom, inside the courtroom, has some papers, asks me for like my name again. She's over my right shoulder, and she goes, "Oh, well, I think we forgot to mail you this. Your date isn't going to be until this date, that date, because the officers aren't here," or something like that. And so she wants me to postpone it now until October, sometime in October. So I have jury duty that time too. So they've scheduled that in October as well. So then I'm like, okay, I guess, that's fine. And I went through all this traffic, like an extra like 20 minutes of driving, because it was just stop and go traffic and everything. And the last thing I want to say about this, because I forgot, was that whenever I went to park in the front of that court, in that police department, I was walking through the parking lot, and this is the same thing. When you walk through the parking lot, The way the program works is you start making your way towards the door and you have an entire parking lot. Okay. But it's not just that, it's the timing. The second you started walking and you shut your door and you go to lock it and you turn and start walking, immediately there's these people doing this number right here, dressed in black, like this, walking in front of you, like they're walking to the courtroom, and they're just walking in front of you, and they're just causing this heightened state of mind, right? And they're always trying to use indirect message to aggravate you and stimulate you at all times and control your mental faculties. And so as I was approaching, I had this guy in black kind of intersect me like this. And then I had this couple come out the door right here. And again, it's always directly in your line of sight. Everything that I'm explaining is always somewhere directly in your line of sight where they staged and timed it so that when you're walking, it's always directly in your 12 o'clock position. And if it's not, it's going to be in your proximal or intimate space, your personal or intimate space, okay, where they're going to say something or do something. So then I go and I'm walking and I see this guy and I'm getting ready to kind of deviate to the left because I already know what he's doing. When you can anticipate what people are doing, you obviously are in a pattern of something, right? So I know this guy is trying to pattern his abuse on me. So I started kind of deviating to the left. Well, this guy and this gal come out and they're having this louder than normal conversation, which I knew again was part of the program. And this is how it always works. It's always this louder than normal conversation where they target you and they want you to hear something. So I'm walking and they go, something, yeah, I'm going to go back and get dressed. I'm going to turn right back around and go get dressed. That's what I heard him say. He made sure to say that as the last couple sentences when he was the nearest to me. So he was walking to a car. His car was actually a lane ahead of me. And I'm walking into his, not lane, but a row ahead of me. And I'm walking towards their row. And the last thing that he made sure to say, louder than normal, and the last two sentences he made sure to say was, yeah, I'm going to turn around, right back around and go get undressed. So then I go into the courtroom and then I go through all that. I get the whole dismissal abuse by this girl in front of me and the same officer abusing me again. And then turned around and I had this inclination that I should probably ask about why I can't, or I should at least ask about getting an appointed attorney. So I turn around as she tells me that it's been postponed again. And so I go over and I'm getting ready to walk out. And this officer, he's making some type of conversation. And I'm just standing there looking at this lady as she's attending someone else. And this officer is looking at like my right cheek. And he goes, oh, I'm just talking to somebody else, this, that, and the other thing. But he's looking kind of like at your face and he's talking at the same time, almost like he's just trying to get you to engage with him. And it's just like, again, every interaction is about being directly in front of you or somewhere in your personal or intimate space. It's always about getting you to react. It's always about getting you some way, shape, or form mentally stimulated at all times. This is contralateral to a normal life. This is persistent indirect conversation, persistent disturbance. So she tells me that I should ask for an attorney when I go to the next hearing. So there we are. So now I have to go to jury duty in October. Then I have to go in October to my hearing. So that's that. I leave, and then these two officers, after that whole interaction, he's trying to like talk to somebody, but yet he's like looking kind of like he's looking like at me type deal. Both of them like, I know I'm getting ready to turn and I'm going to go talk to the lady, and I'm walking out, and then both of them go towards the electronic gate, and they just kind of stand there to see if I'm going to say something or do something, I guess. But what's strange is that he inserts a conversation trying to instigate and antagonize by like looking at me. And then both of the guys go towards the gate after I got done talking to the lady, and they make sure to stand right at the gate, the two of them. And they're trying to imply the two of them, right? Just like the two charges. And it's always now, my Facebook is always 2 notifications, right? My text messages are always 2 notifications, or they're always 5 or 6 notifications. And it's this inundation. And the problem with that is if you're looking at federal law, 2261, and you're making communication like that, especially these people on my Facebook group that are contacting me, and they live states away. They live in North Carolina, they live in South Carolina, or maybe they live in Tennessee, and I'm not in that state, and they're harassing me in this nature. That's federal violation, right? And so people are in this, I could do whatever I want to do in this anarchy, right? Keep you in duress, harass you at all times, touch you at all times. It's an absolute shit show. So that's that. I'm going to close out that as well, and note that the court hearing again had this ambiance of fabrication and this ambiance and this stimuli of abuse, just like the last time. And it was the same officer this time when we talked about it, the last one on April 20th, and you realize that they're stacking these dates on the 20th, saying 2-0, right? Just like this one was August 20th, 2-0. And they're always trying to implement this score record. They're trying to compete, like they're trying to compete with you. And they're then using harassment and antagonism to schedule dates and times, all surrounding and using those numbers to harass you about the events that have occurred. Okay. Also, you'll notice that if I had this type of information out, my channel wouldn't have just 8 subscribers and it wouldn't have this many views. It would have more than that, right? Because this is kind of like saying the justice system is conspiratorial, and here's an eye-opening appreciation of that, and then this would go viral. But instead, they're censoring it and making sure that it doesn't. And it's just adding to the reality of the campaign and the conspiracy within itself. So now we're going to touch on to C. Charlie. I'm going to close this out, and we're going to talk about the we're going to talk about VCA Becker.